Good morning. The time has finally arrived. Oh, wow. Let me just jump in again. 2012. Strange twists and turns. As I sit here and ponder this morning, I am very much aware that I have no clue exactly how anything is going to manifest. While I am certain that the outcome will be good because I am confident that there really is a higher plan to the evolution of consciousness, I do not know the timetable or path things will take as we move into the next dimension of the shift of the ages. I am learning to almost expect strange twists and turns, which unsettles my mind, while my spirit seems to take it all in stride. Oh, as accusations fly back and forth about people being disinformation agents or uh, wishful thinkers or whatever, I've gone back and I've listened to Cliff High yesterday for an hour and 20 minutes on Red Ice, part one. I don't know where part two is, but part one was interesting. I got to hear a side of Cliff High that I didn't get to hear previously. I mean, when someone posted that video on my wall, I commented, "He has generally been a discreditor of most positive news," although I did not listen to this one, which was true at the time that I wrote that. But then I went back a day later and I did listen to it, or whatever time it was later. I don't know. All the time seems to just merge into each other, and I have a harder and harder time separating even which day of the week it is. You know, Dr. Mary used to do that. She used to say, "What day is it today?" And I used to think, "Dr. Mary, why, it's Tuesday, don't you know?" But when you don't go out and do a job and punch a clock and everything, sometimes the sequence and the flow of time gets a little bit messed up in your mind. Well, I could see that happening sometimes with me, that I have to stop and think what day of the week it is even. That was more true when I was at home for that month and a half or 2.5 month period where I thought I could not leave my house for fear that they were going to come and change the locks. And I had to stay here to not appear to have abandoned my property. And so I wasn't leaving the house hardly at all, and I wasn't keeping any pattern. So it was especially difficult for me during that period to remember what day it was, because there was nothing I had to go out and do at any specific time, except, of course, my videos every day, and that sort of keeps me on track. And I don't have to do that, but I come to enjoy doing it, although there are days that I don't, and that's the truth. There are days I wish I could skip today, and I could if I allowed myself, but I don't. And that's okay too. Anyway, I got a new appreciation for Cliff High as he shared some of his story. And I realized, the father that he had and the military travel and everything else, and why he became jaded, as it were, and paints things in a more negative light than David Wilcock does, for example, and even Benjamin Fulford, both of which, of course, were being discussed, as was Drake. And I don't know where any of these people are, and I don't even know sometimes what role I'm playing. All that I can do is what I'm doing, being honest with myself, as honest as I know how to be, and as honest with facing the things that I face. But I did post, and this is confusing to me, because after I watched the Red Ice video, I came and I posted a comment that it changed my perspective of Cliff High. And I'll be darned, I cannot find that posting. And I know I wrote something last night. In fact, someone else posted the same video again, and I removed it and I sent a personal email to that individual and said that I'm removing the video because it's already been posted, and I watched it and I made a comment on it. Well, I can't find the comment that I made after I watched it. I remember saying that it was going to give me a lot to ponder, which indeed it did. And that's why the strange twists and turns things. And one other thing that happened yesterday that's a strange twist and turn is I got a letter from another court. Here it is. And I don't need to hold it up so that you can read it or anything like that. But it's from the United States Bankruptcy Court in the Middle District of Florida, Orlando Division. And it's filed by the plaintiffs in the lawsuit that I've been in for 7 years. And they are filing for bankruptcy. Interesting. And they're listing me and every other defendant in the case as debtors to them. Which I thought, well, isn't that ironic? That they're listing us as owing them something, when in fact, they are the ones that owe every one of us something for fouling up the whole thing. If it wasn't for them, we would have never been in the lawsuit at all. The property, Dr. Mary's property on Merritt Island, would have been sold. There would have been no confusion. All of this legal wrangling and mess would have been easily resolved. The property would have sold for $800 and something thousand, $850 or more $1,000. And the bank would have been paid what I thought they had loaned me, which of course I realize now, for those of you that think that I've got to pay something back, they never loaned me anything. I didn't know that then, but I know it now because I understand now how the whole thing works. That the banks don't loan us anything. We, the borrower, create an asset for the bank and give them something that they turn around and package and sell, and they actually get the money from our hidden account that is managed by the government, managed by the institution and the corporation. It's managed by them, and they just take that money out of our unknown account that's unknown to us because they know we have value. Now we've just said that we're going to produce work and we're going to produce our creativity and effort to create that money. So based on our promise to create that money in the form of work, they go ahead and they give us a receipt for our investment in their scam. Okay, that's honestly how modern banking works. It's all a scam. And people are waking up to that, but some people still think that banks loan money. Banks do not loan money. They don't have any money to loan. They're not even allowed to loan the money that's on deposit for them because they're holding that in trust for the depositor. They cannot loan or give out that money. It's not theirs to give. They are providing a service, which is really a scam. Now that's how it works. Anyway, it's interesting that the Wilhelms now have filed bankruptcy, and I have a feeling they're filing bankruptcy for 2 reasons. Number one, Mr. Wilhelm had 2 strokes the year that Dr. Mary died. So there's hospital bills involved. And they filed the lawsuit. Mr. Wilhelm, when he was deposed, Mrs. Wilhelm, who was behind the whole thing, never was deposed. But Mr. Wilhelm was deposed, and he didn't even know why he was being deposed. He didn't know that he was involved in a lawsuit. He didn't know that he had been ever been named in a will or any proceeding. He was there because his wife told him he had to be there. He was not 100% in control of his faculties. Although he didn't lack credibility, but you could tell he had been injured by the 2 strokes. And he even had a bit of a speech impediment. And the other case thing, of course, is the fact that they filed a lawsuit and they have all these enormous, I'm sure, uh, legal bills from their lawyer who's charging at least $200 or more an hour. And the thing has gone on for 7 years. So what the trustee of the bankruptcy court, who's naming all of the defendants in that as creditors, from me, she wants $130,000. Like, I contracted with these people? I never had a contract with these people. There's never been any confirmation that I did anything wrong. There's only ever been accusations. Nothing has ever been proven against me, and they have no ground to even stand on in wanting $130,000 from me. But, and I have 21 days from the time that this thing was filed to respond, which I will respond probably today. It won't be a, I will include some of the papers that I just filed with the court in the other matter. And it's interesting that I just talked about Dr. Mary the other day and this whole situation the other day before this even hit. How Dr. Mary, this Mrs. Wilhelm, was one of the people involved that was always meddling in Dr. Mary's affairs. And she was one of the 2 people that I heard Dr. Mary complain about. But the whole thing is ludicrous. It's strange twists and turns. And these are the things that are moving us to examine deeper, to look deeper. As I have to, after I listened to Cliff High, I didn't even want to listen initially, and I didn't initially, but I went back because I said, wait a minute. I was hearing things that Aristo Menes was talking about, and he always, his commentaries, again, I mentioned this before, but you've got, if you're not on Facebook, you got to get on Facebook, and you've got to hear what Aristo, some of the things that he says in relation to my videos are just amazing commentary. He comes from such a tremendous perspective. But I have to take these things and ponder and meditate and chew on the cud, so to speak, because it's so much to try to understand. And part of me, when I saw this bankruptcy thing, I almost feel sorry for them. Even though they created the whole thing, I feel sorry for them because it's now put them in over their head, so that they're claiming bankruptcy. They are the debtors. I mean, they're coming at it as if they are the creditors in this thing, and all of the people that are really the creditors in this whole thing, that they owe us because of what they did. They stole from every one of us in filing the lawsuit. It was a frivolous lawsuit. I've called it frivolous from the very beginning. I've never backed down from that, even when I had my 2 lawyers. To me, it was a frivolous lawsuit. They were making accusations that they could not back up with fact. They still can't. All they are is accusations. They had it that I was living like a sponge off of Dr. Mary. I was taking her money. I never took one dime. Not one dime ever from Dr. Mary. Not ever. Now, there were times that she treated me when we went out to eat. She says, you always buy. Let me buy you this time. And I said, okay, Dr. Mary, this time I'll let you. But I had an aversion, and I've always had an aversion for receiving. And it's only been in the past couple of years, and since I've been doing these videos, that Spirit's saying, Ron, you've got to be able to receive. And I still, as soon as whenever somebody offers me something, my first reaction is to say no. No, thank you. I don't need your help. And that's been my pattern, and I was that way with Dr. Mary. I didn't like her ever giving me anything. When I would, the times that I raised the rent, $25 here, $50 here, $50 here, or 25, 25, and 50. I think it went from 100 to 125 to 150 to 200. But in any case, she would say, no, you don't have to do that. And I'd say, Dr. Mary, I want to do that. I want to give you more. And that's the way it was. But in the Wilhelm's mind, I was taking from her because they couldn't see how I was living on such a little bit of income that I apparently to them had at the time. Because I didn't have a regular job. I did have a regular job at the time when Dr. Mary came to me. I did work for, what was it, 10 months or something like that, or 8 months, or whatever it was. I had a job with Western Judicial Services, a court-appointed educator to educate people in drug rehabilitation and anger management and things like that. And I did have a job during that time, but that ended actually around the same time that that this whole thing came to a head in the fall, that whole year of 1994, when I was involved in taking Dr. Mary to attorneys, and Walter was taking her to attorneys, and those of us in the metaphysical community were involved in helping her extricate herself from the con put on by these plaintiffs that are now bankrupt. This is how twists and turns occur. And it's almost laughable, and yet at the same time we're all caught up in this drama. And I don't mean this particular drama, I mean the drama of being human. We're all caught up in the drama of being human. And it takes its twists and turns, but ultimately we remember who we are. And we remember that none of us really are debtors. We live in a culture where everybody wants to put the label debtor on people. The whole culture, because we live in a debt-based society, a debt-based economy. Everybody's a debtor. Everybody's a debtor. Well, the truth of the matter is nobody is. Nobody is. We all are millionaires. We all have tremendous potential and tremendous capability that we forgot. And now in 2012 and last year and in this whole process of the shift of the ages, we're remembering and we're coming back to ourselves. Anyway, I see that my time has gone pretty long. And don't sweat it, is my message to you. Yes, there are twists and turns, and yes, the mind doesn't like it because it can't figure out how it's all going to play out. But if you get into your spirit, that loving place in you, you'll hear the little voice that says, it's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. Smile. Namaste.